Tedmanson, I'm from Vogue Australia, and we're here today at the Creative Collective at Australians in Film in Hollywood at Raleigh Studios, and we're here to talk about women in film and, more importantly, to talk about mentoring, women mentoring each other in the film industry. Well, we thought we'd get together today because women in the film industry is such a big topic at the moment. There's a lot of industry debate about empowering women, and Screen Australia released a big finance budget last year called Gender Matters, and one of their points was women account for only 32% of producers, 23% of writers and 16% of directors. So there's a big push to encourage more women in all facets of the film industry to become involved in front and behind the scenes. And one thing that we've all discovered is how important it is to encourage each other and to look after each other in the industry. So we thought we'd get together today to talk about that and our experiences and how we can sort of help keep the conversation going. So I might start with you. We were having an interesting conversation earlier about your experience with mentoring. I've personally had amazing mentors in journalism who've looked after me over the past 2 decades and still look after me today and have taught me so many things. So what experiences have you had?
Yeah, I've benefited tremendously from mentors and particularly shadowing. As a director, it's so hard to get access to larger productions, like you're just making scrappy short films out of film school. So the women that allowed me into their process and allowed just such good access to people like Sarah Lambert, who went on to create Love Child, and Kim Farrant, who directed Strangerland with Nicole Kidman. They let me into their worlds and gave me so much. But even younger, as a teenager, the women that built into me, just that were my drama teachers and things like that.
Yeah, and I love the focal shift that like we now are sort of shedding the more competitive aspects of this industry that we've sort of been spoon-fed for a long time. Yeah. And especially as an actor, like this industry very much encourages you to be very competitive and very sort of exclusionary. And what I really like to see is people of multiple disciplines actually returning to a more collaborative way of making work, both behind the camera and in front of it. And that's what excites me the most, I think.
Danielle, you've just signed with one of the biggest agencies in Hollywood. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How have you found that in terms of, like, you know, when we hear about that seems to be a very traditionally male-led role, those agencies. How have you found the sort of mentoring, I guess, aspect in?
Well, my point person is a female.
Excellent.
And that was something that was really cool to me. And I asked around with a lot of people that I have a lot of friends that are assistants at different agencies, and a lot of them had worked with people that I was meeting with. So I did ask kind of the questions, and the same thing I kept hearing about this woman was she is a mom, and she is one of the hardest working people in the world, and she just does it all. She's a good person, but she knows exactly what she's doing, and I mean, she's passionate, and I heard all these amazing things, and I was like, sold. I'm sold. And I actually have an amazing team of like 5 people, but it was really amazing. I've been really lucky since I moved out here to work with a lot of females. The first thing I ever did was Glamour Real Moments, and they allowed female actresses to direct short films. And so Rachel Weisz directed the first thing I ever did, actually. And Joel Edgerton was in it, which was cool, because, I mean, obviously I'd just come out of Australia and I was like, oh. But it was amazing, and I've done films where I've had a female director. I did another short film, which was from the American Film Institute's female directing program. And I did another film with a female director, and all 4 of our lead casts were females. And I don't know, I kind of fell into it, and I'm also really attracted to it, I guess, because it's really amazing seeing strong women and their stories, because they're interesting. And that was kind of the really cool thing about Patty Cakes. Our director, it's funny because he's a male, but he's like, I see myself as this girl. That's like the inner me. And he told that story, and it's 3 generations of women, grandma, mom, and me, and it was really an incredible dynamic, and hopefully people like it. I think people are interested in seeing these stories now, you know? So it's great that they're happening.
I think it's interesting, just you saying a male director. A lot of people I've interviewed recently, I've been asking about female mentoring, and people, a lot of the women are saying, even though, we want to support each other, it's actually, you can be mentored by men in a really positive way to make yourself a stronger woman. Like Mira Folks was saying that she gets equally mentored by Jane Campion as she does by Luke Davies, so she has different people that she sort of looks to for advice. And I think that's a really important thing that, I know that we want to support each other as women, but it's also really good to have men there who can give us a different opinion, who can help empower us as well. Do you guys agree?
Well, I mean,
sorry, no.
I was going to say, the two mentors that really helped me when I came out of film school were Tony Ayres and Michael McDonald from Matchbox, and I worked with them for 6 months doing a producer's attachment, and they were amazing. So I definitely don't see men as the enemy. Or, we can't work with men. It's just about, for me personally and for us as a company, we love to empower women and work with women, but that doesn't mean we won't work with men. We've got lots of projects that we're working with great male writers and male directors, but I guess where possible we love to promote and encourage more women to work in the industry as well.
Yeah, and I think that sort of unconscious bias that I was talking about before, it's not just men who are guilty of it, we are all...
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we sort of have to be really aware of, that actually, I know that I have been guilty of it in the past, and so if you really just have to outwardly, very deliberately switch your mindset. And that's also what was great about the Gender Matters program that Screen Australia launched last year, because for the 3 months leading up to the deadline of those submissions, it was like every female filmmaker in Australia was calling each other, going, hey, what could we do together? It was so great, just created this really brilliant sort of national buzz around women kind of working together. And I think that 3 months actually did kind of create a shift in how a lot of women in the industry are working now, which is great.
To each of you, what kind of advice you've been given by a female mentor or a male mentor, some kind of mentor in the past, and also what advice you would give to people?
Developing a relationship with assertiveness, of being able, developing a backing of your instincts, and no, I know I have good taste, I know I have a good work ethic, and I'm not going to be afraid of asking for things or asserting myself in a space where it's not necessarily invited of me to speak or to make things and that, and backing yourself and each other, in a way that's true to the work you want to make, and being okay with standing up for that.
I think it's so important backing each other, like you were saying, when you said that you'd help the girl the other week, it just gives a boost. Like if you give someone a compliment or say, oh, someone told me this once, here's some advice, it just gives everyone that little extra boost, which I think then they can pass on to other people.
I think one of the best things someone told me once, which was my mum, which is, don't be afraid to have kids and a career. Because we've all got kids in our company. And I think a big thing for us now too is about also employing mothers and giving mothers that ability to have that flexibility on set. And I think more and more that's something that's going to change and shift in the industry, because this industry is tough with kids, especially during production. There's companies like Raising Films in the UK that are really supporting kind of childcare on set.
Yeah,
and,
so
and Screen Vixens here are starting to look into it, and that for me is something that I'm really passionate about moving forward, trying to find ways that women in all departments who have children can be supported so that they can work and be in production.
It is something that I think, particularly for on-set roles, like if you're a director or an actor or a DOP, or there's people that are kind of on set for 14 hours a day before everybody else, who leave last, and when you're actually shooting, it's kind of like a 24/7 thing. And if you are also a parent, and if you are also the parent who's kind of the primary caregiver, it's kind of impossible. And so all of those things like childcare on set and working out ways that you can, do both or have the amount of support that you need is really key in more women not only being in those roles but being really successful in those roles, and not having to dip out to have it, dip out for 2 years while you're looking after the kids or whatever.
Do you think have you all noticed that you feel more confident in things now that people are talking about things more openly? Or, I guess you're seeing like confident women anyway, so it's probably a stupid question, but do you think there's more confidence, I guess?
Well, I think the word feminism has had, it can have its own bad rap, and I think that's just due to its kind of, I think it might be linguistically flawed, because what we're aiming for, as you said, is equality, and it's not just about females, it's about all kinds of transgender, any kind of sexual orientation that people kind of attribute themselves to, and so I think if people can kind of learn to understand that, I think it's about equality between all of those kind of aspects, but then also embracing the uniqueness of each and every kind of facet of your sexuality or your personhood.
Yeah.
But I think what you were saying earlier about in terms of confidence and everything, what has given me a great deal of confidence is kind of zooming out a little bit and not focusing so much on this notion of career and being so insular with that, because I mean, this is a little bit on a more philosophical level, but like we, at the end of the day, what do we kind of leave here? And it's not about who can kind of be the best at this or the best at that. What we're ultimately working towards is a better world. And we do have to fight that in our careers.
Just artistically speaking, you know, competitiveness, we go into rooms and we see carbon copies of ourselves, but the thing that I think a lot of the time we forget is that we're all so different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna play something that someone else wouldn't play the same way because I am me and they are them.
Yeah.
And then when you see someone up on screen doing something, you can't do what they're doing either, because, and it is all what the director wants, or it's all what the story calls for, and we all have our own individual essences, and you can't fake that.
No.
So we shouldn't be competitive, because it's just about who's right for what. It's not about being competitive. Everyone's gonna have different takes on it, and that's okay. Like, we all have different opinions, we all have different personalities,
And that's wonderful.
yeah,
That's
that's amazing.
wonderful.
I guess having the confidence and the independence, and also just supporting each other through everything and keeping that conversation going. So thank you so much, everyone. And also with all your various projects, it's so amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.